Hello, everyone. This is Jill here to give the Purdue versus Maryland post-game recap. Final score being Purdue 93, Maryland 63. This was the get-right game we were hoping for, and to snap that three-game losing streak. And I think this is exactly the team that I think a lot of fans have been hoping for, is just intensity no matter who the opponent is, and an efficiency from both the offense and defensive perspective. And I think that's what we got. I know Maryland isn't exactly a team that should have given us a lot of competition. They're currently one of nine in the Big Ten, so very bottom of the Big Ten right now, and they've certainly had their struggles. But I think any win that you get, it's important to, take a look at what happened, and what went well, and what can we do to make sure that these kind of wins happen against tougher opponents that are vying for the Big Ten title. A couple of things that I was thinking about before this game was obviously just let's make this right, let's reset ourselves and get us in a position to be competitive again in the Big Ten. Not that we weren't, but I think there were a couple of games where we just lost sight of what the game in front of us, and led to some mistakes that turned into losses for us. So here we are, just kind of looking for some confidence and hoping that we can show that we are capable of being competitive in the Big Ten. And maybe we are out of the Big Ten running, but I think we can still kind of disrupt whatever is happening at the top. And as far as this game goes, how it went, I think the first half was the Braden and Fletcher show. Their fingerprints were all over this game, particularly Fletcher Lawyers. I think this was like his February awakening, something like that, where he just came out firing on all cylinders, hit 7 of 10 from three, and had 29 points, 3 assists, 2 rebounds. I think he was really aggressive on the offense, looking for his shot and also looking for people to pass it to. And then also was competitive on the defensive end. He grabbed a lot of rebounds. He did some really good stuff as far as just being competitive. And as always, he's coaching players on the floor, telling them what he sees, things that they should do. And that has not changed about Fletcher from, the beginning of the season till now. So that's great to see that that's always consistent. But what I also really loved was he seemed fired up and excited to go. And that's something that I think has been missing from these players, is just that energy where they're excited and they make some really key plays that lead to them feeling fired up to hit some shots. He had took 2 charges maybe, and then had a blocking foul on him, and so that was just again additional energy brought to the players to get them going and maintain their lead that they had. Braden Smith had 19 points, 6 assists, 2 rebounds. I think for him, he was able to just kind of direct traffic once again. Still very dominant on the court. I think he had 5 threes, maybe 4 threes, and 4 to 6 from 3, something like that. And he, again, just an elite passer. Uh, did a lot of great things. He came out at the 12-minute mark, I think, and just never came back into the game. And while I think it was from a fan of his perspective, I would love to see him come back in, even though they were up by probably 25 points at that time, just so that he could continue to work on that all-time assist record. But I think given the past 3 games, he's put his body on the line for a lot of them. And for a game like Maryland, I don't think it's worth the risk to, have him continue to dive on the floor when we're up by 30. Let's just sit our players down and give some of the bench players some experience playing in a Big Ten game and get them some solid minutes for them to try and get consistent, because I think that will help their confidence down the road too. So that was, I think, my perspective on it. Like I said, it would have been cool to see him try and get maybe 4 or 5 more assists in the game. But at the end of the day, I think he said this too, the accolades don't really matter. What they want is a championship. So we'll see what they can do with that. And then to kind of round out the big 3 discussions, TKR had 10 rebounds, 4 assists, and 7 points. I think his ability to grab boards for this particular game was reminiscent of Alabama. And I really I enjoyed it. I think he's just, looking for rebounds, trying to find open players, and being a well-rounded basketball player at the four positions. So that was great to see. I know he didn't have as many points as he did last game, but I think the paint was a little bit crowded, and they just didn't quite give him enough paint touches for it to really get into a flow state. But I really liked his energy on the rebounding side, and he had a couple of assists to Fletcher that helped kind of fire him up. So I think that is, you know, you kind of get, it's a give and take there. So what I like seeing is that it's like selfless basketball, and everyone's looking to pass to just keep finding the open player, keep breaking down the defense, and that's what we're hoping for with such an efficient offense from us. Some bench player highlights that I will talk about: Jakari Harris, he had 12 points, and a lot of them came kind of at the tail end of the game, but I think he just brought a lot of energy, tough defensive energy, and just glad that he can get some solid minutes for this particular game and see his shot go down. Same with Omer Meyer, he had 9 points, 3 rebounds, and so that was just great to see. It is funny to watch him play because you can tell he's like a shoot first mentality, because he'll kind of hold the ball, dribble around, and try and make space for his jump shot in the corner. I think it's funny because when he has the ball, he's ready to shoot it and he wants to. So that's been fun to see, just him try and kind of get comfortable, get loose on that front. I also thought it was interesting that Daniel Jacobson was in for a pretty long stretch in the middle of the game, and I attribute it to him having like 4 rebounds in the first half alone. So that was my thought from it. Otherwise, he was a little bit quiet on the game, 5 rebounds, 8 points, but his size really contributed to some. He tipped it out. He would tip it out the ball for someone to hopefully get the rebound, things like that. So he was pretty active and definitely getting banged up down below in the paint. So good effort from him. We always like seeing that kind of effort, especially when you're kind of coming off the bench and having to deal with boxing out, big and tall players. As far as stats go, they feel a little bit like inflated just because we were playing against kind of a pretty banged up Maryland team. But 53% from field, 50% from three. Free throws looking good, 80%, 20 out of 25. So we like to see that. And then total rebounds, we out rebounded Maryland 35-24, had 9 offensive rebounds. So just looking really good on that end. And I think when we give ourselves second chance opportunities, it leads to some really good things, especially if the defense has broken down. Someone's going to be open for us to try and make a shot. And then assists, I love that this team is so selfless when it comes to playing basketball. They are always looking to pass and just find an open man. We had 18 assists in this game versus Maryland's 5. So, I think that's something that really looking forward to and seeing us continue to do. If there's one thing I would try and adjust, it would be, one, continue to work on turnovers. We had 8 turnovers. That's not terrible whatsoever, considering there are some games where we have like 15-20. But if there's always something that you want to do is take care of the basketball. And then points in the paint. We had 22 points in the paint. Maryland had 20. I think there can certainly be more points in the paint. And while, our 3-point game, this particular game was excellent, is that always going to be the case? Yes or no? If those shots aren't falling, we have to make sure that we're doing what we can to, really like drive to the basket and get some easy buckets that are really close to the rim, because those baskets also can give us second chance opportunities if there's simple bounces that we can grab from a rebounding perspective. So that is what I'm kind of thinking about. And then really it's just like, let's get consistent and keep this energy up. As fans, our expectation is that this energy and this high level of playing comes with every single game. And, that's certainly going to be like the thing that we're looking for moving forward. We'll see how that goes. I'm obviously a really big believer in this team, and this just kind of goes to show that we're moving in we're taking steps in the right direction to get us back on track and to feel competitive in this particular basketball landscape, because it's certainly tough. Not every game is given. So, just excited to see them play and watch some highlights of this because I think they played a good game of basketball, and just looking forward to seeing what's next, which is Purdue versus Oregon back in Mackey Arena on Saturday, February 7th at 12 p.m. So we got a little bit of time before that game happens. So looking forward to seeing us play against Oregon in Mackey Arena. Hopefully another get right game, continue to get consistent, and then we've got a gauntlet for the month of February. So let's enjoy this win, and then we'll be back at it on Saturday, February 7th. Thank you so much for watching this, guys. I will see you in the next one.